Oakville is a small, quiet town. Life moves slowly here, and everyone knows each other. The town hasn't had a new resident in over 10 years, so when Dr. Amelia Blackwood arrives to take over the local medical practice, it's the talk of the town. She's a woman of striking beauty and intelligence. With her warm smile and friendly nature, she quickly wins over the townspeople. Everyone believes she's exactly what Oakville needs. I'm Sarah Hawthorne, the town's librarian and unofficial historian. I've lived in Oakville my entire life, and like everyone else, I'm curious about Dr. Blackwood. She seems perfect, maybe too perfect. But I brush off my suspicions. After all, what harm could she do? She's just a doctor, and Oakville needed one after Dr. Lawson retired. For the first few months, everything seems normal. Dr. Blackwood is busy settling into her new role, and the townspeople, especially the elderly, are happy to have a skilled doctor in town again. She's even started visiting the library to borrow books on local history, which makes me warm to her. She's eager to learn about Oakville's past, and I'm more than happy to share what I know. But soon things start to change. It begins with small complaints, people forgetting simple things, like where they left their keys or what they had for breakfast. At first, no one thinks much of it. We all forget things sometimes, right? But then other symptoms start to appear. Some people wake up with unexplained bruises on their bodies, others complain of dizziness, and some report losing hours, sometimes even days of time. They have no memory of what happened during those lost hours. The town is puzzled, but no one suspects Dr. Blackwood. She seems as concerned as the rest of us. She sees more and more patients each day, trying to figure out what's going on. But despite her efforts, the symptoms continue to spread. It's as if the town itself is sick, and no one knows the cause. As the librarian, I have access to all the old records and archives. I decide to do a little digging. Maybe there's something in the town's history that can explain what's happening. I start with the medical records from years ago, looking for anything unusual. I don't expect to find much, but what I uncover sends a chill down my spine. As I go through the records, I notice a pattern. Every 50 years, almost to the day, Oakville experiences a surge of mysterious illnesses, followed by a series of disappearances. The symptoms are always the same: memory lapses, unexplained bruises, and missing time. And each time, the events seem to culminate in something terrible, though the details are always vague, as if someone deliberately erased the most important parts of the records. The last time it happened was exactly 50 years ago. I remember hearing stories from my grandmother when I was a child, stories about people disappearing without a trace, strange lights in the sky, and whispers of a curse. But I always thought they were just that, stories, meant to scare children. Now, I'm not so sure. I start to dig deeper. I look through old newspapers, diaries, and letters, trying to piece together what happened 50 years ago. The more I learn, the more I realize that the town's history is darker than I ever imagined. Oakville was founded by a group of settlers who were desperate to escape persecution. They were running from something or someone, and when they arrived in Oakville, they made a bargain sealed in blood. My investigation leads me to the archives beneath the old church. These archives are rarely accessed and contain the oldest records of the town. They are dusty and filled with old, crumbling papers. As I sift through them, I find references to an ancient curse, one that was placed on the town by the settlers themselves. According to the records, the settlers made a pact with a powerful being, trading their safety and prosperity for something in return. But over time, the details of the pact were forgotten, and the curse became little more than a legend. But the records suggest that the curse was real, and that it demands a sacrifice every 50 years. The price is steep, but the settlers believed it was worth it to ensure the survival of the town. However, the curse also brought darkness to Oakville. Every 50 years the town would suffer, and people would disappear, taken as payment for the bargain made long ago. As I read through the records, I begin to see connections between the curse and Dr. Blackwood's arrival. It's no coincidence that she appeared just as the 50-year cycle was about to repeat. But what is her role in all of this? Is she a victim, like the rest of us? Or is she something more sinister? The more I investigate, the more I realize that Dr. Blackwood isn't who she seems. Her arrival wasn't a coincidence. It was planned. The timing is too perfect. She came to Oakville just as the curse was due to strike again, and since her arrival, the strange symptoms have spread like wildfire. I confront her one day, hoping to catch her off guard. She's in the library, reading one of the old history books I lent her. I can see the shadows under her eyes. She looks tired, but there's something else there, something that makes me uneasy. "Dr. Blackwood," I say, trying to keep my voice steady. "What do you know about the curse on this town?" She looks up, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Curse? I'm not sure what you mean, Sarah." I press on. "Every 50 years something happens in Oakville. People get sick and then they disappear. It's happened before and it's happening again. And it started after you arrived." For a moment she says nothing, just watches me with those sharp, piercing eyes. Then she smiles, but it doesn't reach her eyes. "You've been reading too many old stories. There's no such thing as a curse." But I don't believe her. I've seen the records. I've seen the patterns. I know she's hiding something, but I can't prove it. Yet. Determined to find the truth, I keep digging. I start following Dr. Blackwood, watching her closely. I notice that she disappears every evening for hours at a time, but no one knows where she goes. One night, I decide to follow her. She leaves her house and heads toward the old church. I keep my distance, hiding in the shadows as she enters the building. I wait for a few minutes, then quietly follow her inside. The church is dark and empty, but I hear footsteps echoing from below. I find the stairs leading down to the basement, where the archives are kept. But she's not in the archives. Instead, she's heading toward a part of the church that's been sealed off for years. I follow her down a narrow hallway, my heart pounding in my chest. At the end of the hallway, there's a door, an old wooden door with strange symbols carved into it. Dr. Blackwood pushes it open and disappears inside. I wait until the door closes behind her, then carefully move closer. When I finally muster the courage to open the door, I find myself in a hidden chamber. The air is cold and damp, and the walls are covered in strange markings. In the center of the room, there's an altar made of stone. On the altar are objects that look ancient and powerful: candles, a dagger, and a book with a cover made of some kind of dark, weathered leather. Dr. Blackwood is standing in front of the altar, her back to me. As I watch, she begins to chant in a language I don't understand. The room fills with a strange energy, and I feel a chill run down my spine. I know I shouldn't be here, but I can't look away. Suddenly, Dr. Blackwood stops chanting and turns around. She sees me standing in the doorway, and for a moment, we just stare at each other. Then, her expression changes. The warm, friendly doctor I thought I knew is gone. In her place is someone, or something else. Dr. Blackwood steps forward, and I instinctively take a step back. "I warned you, Sarah," she says softly. "You should have stayed out of this." I finally find my voice. "What are you doing? What is this place?" She sighs, as if she's disappointed in me. "You've uncovered more than I expected, but it's too late to stop what's coming." I shake my head, trying to make sense of it all. "The curse, it's real, isn't it? And you're part of it." She nods slowly. "Yes, it's real, and I am bound to it just as this town is. Every 50 years the cycle repeats. I am here to ensure that the bargain is fulfilled." I feel a surge of anger and fear. "You're making people sick. You're taking them, just like before." "It's not that simple," she says, her voice calm, almost sad. "The curse requires a sacrifice, and the town must pay the price. It's the only way to keep the curse from destroying everything." I'm horrified by her words. "You're killing people." She shakes her head. "I don't kill them. They are taken, yes, but it's a necessary evil. Without the sacrifice, the curse would consume the entire town." I can't believe what I'm hearing. Everything I thought I knew about Oakville, about Dr. Blackwood, has been turned upside down. But there's one thing I know for sure. I have to stop her. I can't let this cycle continue. With the anniversary of the curse approaching, the town is on edge. More people are falling ill, and the disappearances are starting. I know that Dr. Blackwood is behind it, but I can't go to the authorities. They would never believe me, not without proof. I spend every waking moment in the library, trying to find a way to break the curse. The old records offer little hope. The settlers who made the bargain were desperate, and they sealed the curse with their blood. Breaking it would require something just as powerful, a sacrifice of equal or greater value. As the night of the anniversary draws near, I realize that I'm running out of time. I return to the hidden chamber in the church, determined to confront Dr. Blackwood one last time. This time, I'm not going to leave until I find a way to end this. When I enter the chamber, she's already there, preparing for the ritual. She doesn't look surprised to see me. "You can't stop this, Sarah," she says quietly. "The curse is too strong. But I'm not backing down. There has to be another way." She shakes her head. "There isn't. The bargain was made, and it must be fulfilled." I take a deep breath, knowing what I have to do. "Then let me be the sacrifice." She looks shocked. "No, you don't know what you're saying." But I do. I've made up my mind. If my life can save the town, then I'm willing to give it. For a moment, she just stares at me, her eyes filled with something that looks like regret. Then she nods slowly. "Very well. But know that once this is done, there's no turning back." I nod, steeling myself for what's to come. As she begins the ritual, I close my eyes and think of the people in the town, the people I've known my whole life. If this is the only way to save them, then I'm ready. When I open my eyes again, I'm lying on the floor of the chamber. The candles have burned out, and the strange energy in the room is gone. I feel weak, but I'm alive. Dr. Blackwood is kneeling beside me, her expression unreadable. "It's done," she says quietly. "The curse is broken." I can hardly believe it. "What happens now?" She helps me to my feet. "The town is free, the cycle is over, but the cost was great." I know what she means. The curse may be broken, but the memories of what happened will stay with me forever. I look around the chamber one last time, knowing that I'll never forget what I saw here. As we leave the church, I feel the first rays of dawn on my face. The nightmare is over, but Oakville will never be the same. The town will heal, but it will take time. As for Dr. Blackwood, she disappears shortly after that night. No one knows where she went, and the townspeople eventually stop asking. But I know that wherever she is, she's carrying the weight of the curse with her. I return to my life as the town librarian, but things are different now. I've seen the darkness that lurked beneath the surface of Oakville, and I faced it head on. The town is free, but it came at a great cost. But I know that we will move forward. Oakville will rebuild, and I'll be there to make sure that the mistakes of the past are never repeated. The curse is broken, and for the first time in 50 years, the town is free to write a new chapter in its history.
Now that you've heard the story, let's take a moment to go over some key vocabulary words and phrases that will help you better understand the narrative and improve your English skills. These words are taken directly from the story, and learning them will enhance your ability to describe characters, settings, and events in English. Let's start with some general terms. Resident, a person who lives in a particular place. In the story, the town of Oakville hasn't seen a new resident in over a decade. Curiosity, a strong desire to know or learn something. When Dr. Amelia Blackwood arrives, everyone in town is abuzz with curiosity. Memory lapses, moments of forgetfulness, or the inability to recall certain information. Patients in Oakville begin reporting strange symptoms, such as memory lapses, unsettling, causing feelings of worry or discomfort. As the town librarian, I start to notice unsettling patterns in the town's history. Disappearances, the act of someone or something going missing. Every 50 years, Oakville experiences a surge of mysterious illnesses, followed by a string of disappearances. Next, let's look at some investigation and mystery-related terms. Archives, a collection of historical records and documents. My investigation leads me to dusty archives, sealed records, and a hidden chamber beneath the old church. Sealed, closed tightly or securely. Sealed records often contain information that has been kept secret or restricted from the public. Bargain, an agreement between two or more parties, often involving a compromise. In the story, I uncover a web of secrets involving the town's founding families and a bargain made in blood. Cycle, a series of events that happen repeatedly in the same order. The cycle of mysterious illnesses and disappearances repeats every 50 years in Oakville. Chamber, a large room, often secret or hidden. I discover a hidden chamber beneath the old church, filled with strange markings and ancient objects. Now, let's discuss some character-related terms. Unravel, to investigate and solve a mystery or problem. I'm running out of time to unravel the truth before history repeats itself in Oakville. Librarian, a person who works in or is in charge of a library. As the town librarian and unofficial historian, I begin to notice unsettling patterns in Oakville's past. Historian, a person who studies or writes about history. As the town's unofficial historian, I become curious about Dr. Blackwood's connection to the town's history. Sinister, giving the impression that something harmful or evil is happening or will happen. The more I investigate, the more I realize that Dr. Blackwood has a sinister side. Sacrifice, the act of giving up something valuable for the sake of something else. In the story, the curse requires a sacrifice every 50 years to be fulfilled. Lastly, let's cover some setting and atmosphere-related terms. A buzz, full of talk, activity, or excitement. The town of Oakville is abuzz with curiosity when Dr. Amelia Blackwood arrives. Founding, relating to the establishment or origin of something. The town's founding families made a bargain that led to the curse on Oakville, bound, tied, or obligated to a certain action or course. Dr. Blackwood reveals that she is bound to the curse, just as the town is. Ritual, a religious or solemn ceremony involving a series of actions performed in a specific order. Dr. Blackwood prepares for the ritual that will fulfill the curse. Uncover, to discover something that was previously hidden or unknown. As I dig deeper, I uncover a web of secrets involving Oakville's dark past. By learning these words and phrases, you'll be better equipped to discuss the story, describe characters, and understand the complex events that unfold. Try using these terms in your own sentences, and practice discussing the story with others to strengthen your comprehension and fluency in English.